Hey Scrapbook and friends, I am Trisha at Club Scrap and I'm ready to get started with the Violet Page Kit Workshop. We are going to be transforming the contents of this special release collection into 8 absolutely stunning scrapbook pages. I'm looking forward to showing you my method. If it's new to you, we're going to be doing a lot of trimming together and then the assembly for those 8 pages. If you're new and I'm going too fast for you, don't forget that you can adjust the playback speed of the video to 0.75 to really slow me down. You just need to find that under the gear setting on your YouTube screen. Let's get started. I have my Violet Special Release Page Kit here along with the instructions that I've downloaded and printed from the Club Scrap website. I have my 12-inch paper trimmer here, and I also have my beloved accordion pocket file. This is how we're gonna stay organized when we are creating a total of 8 pages. All the trimming will be done first, so we need to stay organized. If you don't have this, totally okay, just maintain 4 piles. The only difference is you need more space, and sometimes space is at a premium. So I'll put this underneath the base of my trimmer, and then it helps hold it up. I'll set aside all the ribbon and other embellishments that came in the kit, and if any of those, if you just leave it all in the bag that your kit came in, that's ideal. And let's sort the paper in the order we'll be using it. So I'm gonna take this kind of all over collage print. It has flowers throughout, so that's the big difference here. So find one of those, and I'm just gonna put those face down on the trimmer. And then locate the border print. This is the one that has just florals on the edge here. We'll put that face down. Follow that with 2 sheets of gold. Now it's kind of a greenish gold color, and the paper has a really deep felt-like texture to it. I'll put it texture side facing down just so that it's right side up later on when we flip the stack. And then I'm gonna follow that with 2 pieces of dark purple. So it's very, very deep dark purple. It's such a lovely paper, really nice heavy weight there, as you'll find. 1 sheet of the yellow. Make sure you don't mistake the yellow for the ivory. Yellow is much darker, the ivory is brighter. And I'll take a sheet of light purple. And next up, and usually at the back of your packet, you'll find some Cutaparts. Now look for the one that has the bigger frame here and then those larger strips. I'll put that face down followed by the other Cutapart sheet in your stack. So it's got text on it, some border strips. And next up, I want you to find the remaining 2 pieces of light purple. So 1, 2. And I usually hold the paper up off of my work surface so it's easy to kind of find things. Next up, 2 sheets of the ivory plain. 1, 2. That's that brighter tone you're looking for. Then 1 more of the collage print. That's one with the florals everywhere. And then 1 sheet of yellow. Finally, another sheet of yellow, and then ending with the border print. Okay, and that goes face down. Now all of that entire stack that we're done sorting, flip it back over so that the original collage print is on top, and that'll be the first piece we're working with. And strangely enough, we're not even going to be trimming it with the trimmer. We are going to tear it. And to help us, I'm going to grab my 3x14 grid ruler. Now, if you don't want to tear the paper, you can still trim it into strips. It's no problem. But what's nice about the grid ruler here is the fact that it's 3 inches wide. And so I can take the print. Let's see if there's any special way. I guess I'm going to go with the darkest florals on the left. I'll line up the edge of my ruler with the edge of the paper here. And now I know that I'm at 3 inches. So I'm just going to pull the paper, push down on the ruler and pull the paper toward me. Okay, so now I have this lovely paper with a torn edge. I'll take this sheet, rotate it 180 degrees. So now I have this edge right here. I'll put the ruler on top of it again, push down firmly, and bring that paper toward me so I have another lovely piece with the torn edges. Both of the torn edge pieces go in pockets 7 and 8. Now they are 12 inches long. The accordion pocket file is 12 inches wide. So when you add it to the pocket, just make sure the pieces kind of are at an angle like this and stick out the end so you can still see the numbers on the left side of the pocket. Now I want to tear this at 4 inches and my ruler is only 3 inches wide. So you can even use the base of your trimmer to help you find 4 inches, like 1, 2, 3, 4. If I set the ruler right there, that should be 4 inches. That's kind of one way. Another way is to buddy up. If you happen to have more than one club scrap ruler, just combine them. Now I'm at the 1 inch mark here, plus 3 for the ruler. I'm at 4 inches. So trimmer base, your ruler, traditional measuring techniques, whatever you think, or you can just cut the paper with your trimmer. This piece here that we just created, pocket 7 and 8. Then I rotated the paper 180 degrees, so now the straight edge is here, and it's horizontally in front of me. Once again, I'm gonna find 4 inches. There, now I've got another 4x6. Now, this one that has the straight edge, the straight long edge, pocket 7 and 8 again. And then the one that's torn on all the sides, I added that to layout 5 and 6. So put that in there. I can get rid of my rulers. Now I'm just gonna tell you how you would trim it if you didn't want to tear it. Okay, so put the paper and the trimmer in the same direction. Trim at 9 and 3. Place the 3 inch piece in pocket 7 and 8. Rotate the 6x12 piece then, the larger piece, so it's horizontal, cut at 8 and 4. 2 of those pieces will go in pocket 7 and 8, and 1 of them will go in pocket 5 and 6. And then the remaining 3x12 will go in pocket 7 and 8. So I just did that from my head. I don't have that in the written instructions. So follow along with me. Either way, we've got our pieces, 2 3x12s and 3 4x6s. We're good to go on the border print, which is next in our stack. We'll place this in the trimmer to what me feels right side up, so that this large flower is up here on the left, and then it's kind of a U-shaped lineup of flowers. We're gonna look at 6.5 here. So that's halfway between the 6 and the 7. You've got your 6.5. Make sure the paper is resting up against the ridge here. Push down on the bar and slice that into 2 pieces. We're gonna place both of them in pocket 5 and 6. Once again, at an angle so I can see those pocket numbers. Now grab the gold. We're gonna trim this one at 6 inches. Rotate the 6x12 so it's horizontal, and trim at 8 and 4. Once again, that gave us 4x6s. Now one of them will go in pocket 3 and 4, the other 2, 5 and 6. Take the next strip, and we're gonna cut carefully now here at 9 and 4.5. The piece that's in your trimmer, pocket 1 and 2. The piece that fell, that's a larger, pocket 3 and 4. And there's a smaller rectangle that I want you to trim at 4 3/4. 4 plus 1, 2, 3 columns to the left is 4 3/4. I'm gonna place that in pocket 5 and 6. And there is a small scrap that fell. I'm just gonna set that aside and grab the next sheet of gold. We'll trim this one at 11 1/4, 10 1/2, 9, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Rotate the 3 3/4 inch piece. We'll trim at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. That gave us a set of 3 squares for pocket 5 and 6. Take the scrappy that fell off the end and set it aside. We didn't use that one. And then I'll take the next strip. This is 3 3/4 by 12 also. And we'll cut this one at 9 1/2, 6 1/2, and 3 1/4. The piece that's in the base of your trimmer right now and the piece that just fell, they should be the same size, and those are going to go in pocket 3 and 4. And then there's another slightly less square piece going in pocket 5 and 6. And the final piece that fell is pretty small, but we're going to trim it even smaller, cut it horizontally at 3 1/2. And this little piece goes in pocket 1 and 2. There is a small scrap that fell. Let's go ahead and set it aside, and then I'll pick up the remaining strips here. Try not to mess with the order. The 2 wider strips that are the same width, pocket 5 and 6. Then there are two smaller ones. Put one of them in pocket 1 and 2, and the other in 3 and 4. Moving on to the dark purple, and I know I'm going kind of quickly. Just remember, you can adjust that playback speed to make me slower. I'm going to cut the one sheet of dark purple. There's going to be one to your left and one in the trimmer base. Cut at 11 3/4, 11 1/2, 9 3/4. So you're going to go down quite a ways there to 9 3/4. 7 1/2. Oh my goodness, so many cuts. And 3 1/4. Notice that I'm always letting those papers pile up without moving them. If you move them, and then I say pick up the next piece and it's not there, there can be confusion. So just keep that in mind. Leave the papers pile up. Rotate the paper that's in the trimmer and cut it at 9 3/4, 6 1/2, and 3 1/4. All right, the piece in your trimmer, pocket 5 and 6. The top piece in your pile, it's kind of a rectangle, or is it square? It's square, 3 and 4. The next square and the little rectangle that fell, both of them go in pocket 1 and 2. Let's pick up this 4 1/4 by 12 inch strip. We're gonna cut it at 6 1/4. The piece in your trimmer, pocket 7 and 8. And then the piece that fell, pockets 7 and 8. There's a pretty wide strip on the top of your stack, 7 and 8. Then there's like a medium-sized strip, 5 and 6. And we've got two really skinny guys, 7 and 8. Moving on to the next dark purple. More strips to be made here. Cut at 11 3/4, 11 1/2, 10 1/2, and 6 1/4. Rotate the 6 1/4 inch piece so it's horizontal. Cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. The two pieces that you just created are the same size. Those go in pocket 5 and 6, but a lot of stuff in 5 and 6 isn't there. And then the rectangle that's left over from those cuts will trim horizontally at 6 and 3. And both of these rectangles that are the same, pocket 3 and 4, leaving behind a tiny, tiny little scrap. You can add that to the huge pile we're accumulating. Next up, just go with me on this one. This 4 1/4 by 12, we'll cut at 6 1/4. And place this piece in pocket 5 and 6. Then there is this guy that fell. We're gonna turn him so he's vertical and cut at 3 1/4. Now the piece that's in the trimmer right now, rotate it so it's horizontal and trim at 5 1/2 and 3 1/4. So this square here, pocket 7 and 8. This rectangle, pocket 1 and 2. And also we had a couple of scraps. We had this little guy and then this gigantic piece here. That's a scrap. And then we have a series of strips, one wider and then two really, really skinny. All of them go in pocket 1 and 2. Grabbing the yellow, I'm going to trim this one at 6 1/4. Rotate so it's horizontal and cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Two pieces here that are the same, pocket 7 and 8. Now there's a smaller rectangle. We'll cut at 3 1/2. That's going to make a square. And the 3 1/2 inch square, pocket 7 and 8 also. And the smaller rectangle that fell, 5 and 6. Boy, I got a lot of stuff on 5 and 6. Now we have this other remaining piece of yellow. It's pretty big. We'll trim at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. You've made 3 rectangles that are the same, pocket 3 and 4. And this other piece that fell from the edge, that's a scrap. light purple. We are almost there, my friends. Hang in there with me. We're trimming at 10.5 and 6.25. Rotate the 6.25 inch piece so it's horizontal and cut at 8.5 and 4.25. Two pieces that you just made that are the same, pocket 1 and 2 now. Okay, load that pocket up. And we have the rectangle. We're gonna do our little trick again, cut at 6 and 3. And these two rectangles, pocket 1 and 2. This is a little scrap, again, that fell. The larger strip that remains here, we'll cut at 6.25. I just want you to know there's a huge thunderstorm rolling in. So if I lose power, I'm out of luck. These both go in pocket 1 and 2. And then there's a longer strip here that goes in 3 and 4. We've arrived at our Cutaparts, and I need to remove the outer perimeter according to those little guide marks on each edge. So when I place this piece in the trimmer, what I'm looking at is the right edge of the silver blade, not that black edge, but the silver edge. And I'm going to try to get this piece kind of lined up with that. However, because of the size of the paper and this trimmer, I can't see the bottom edge when this paper is this large. So I'll take a little bit off and then I'll clean that up later. When I rotate, now I can see, I can kind of see. There we go. Then I rotate again. I can see really well. Rotate again. This time I should be able to look at the 12 over here because I'm turning this into a nicely registered 12 by 12. And finally, our last rotation, I'll cut at 12. And I'm kind of back to where I started. And what I'm looking at here is making sure that this frame is on the left and then Find the Extraordinary Joy is on the right. I'll cut at 10.75, 9.5, 7.5, and 4. Rotate the 4-inch piece so it's horizontal and cut at 6. This 6-inch piece, pocket 7 and 8. Now all of this sheet, each piece, you'll notice if you look closely, has like a glow around it. If you cut along that little glow line, it'll make it look kind of like a nice sticker. And all of these pieces are used in layout 3 and 4. So that's where I'm going to put that. The next wide strip also, pocket 3 and 4. This strip that says Friends Are Treasures, 7 and 8. And then the two final pieces, pocket 5 and 6. All right, our last sheet of Cutaparts here. And once again, I'm gonna take a little shy of the line on that cut so that when I rotate, I can see the blade here down at the bottom and the top edge. And it's hard for me to explain that, but once you are using this trimmer and you can see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. If you're using one of your own trimmers at home, I know some people even use a craft knife and ruler, or just their trimmer. As long as you can see where that little guide mark is, you're a-okay. Back in the trimmer, a dear friend makes life beautiful. And isn't that the truth? So that'll be on our right, and then we're gonna trim at 10.75, 10.25, 9.75, 7.75, 6, and 3. Rotate this 3-inch piece so the word Friends is on the right, and we'll cut at 11, 9, 7, 5, and 3. This 3-inch piece, pocket 5 and 6. The next two pieces, which are tags, and if you want, it depends on how comfortable you feel with the trimmer. You can use the trimmer to take off the little triangles from each corner so that the reveal or the margin on the tag artwork matches the other sides. I usually bring the blade really close to the tag. So the next two tags, which are florals and a horizontal journaling tag, both go in pocket 1 and 2. There's one more tag here, which I can lob off my triangles. Now, you can also do this with scissors or a craft knife. This vertical journaling tag, 7 and 8. And then we have the Love, Joy, Bloom. All of these pieces are fussy cut. You can trim them apart as well. Maybe let's just go ahead and do that. I'll trim it horizontally at 2 and 1. And these 3 pieces can go in pocket 5 and 6. And the Friends, 7 and 8. We're so close to being done. This piece goes in with the narrow rectangles on the right. We'll trim at 10 and a half, 9, 6, and 3. This 3-inch piece, pocket 1 and 2. Even a small bit of Joy, 3 and 4. Friends are the flowers in the garden of the heart. That's 7 and 8. The 2 smaller rectangles, pocket 1 and 2. The 2 wide floral strips, 1 and 2. Then you have 2 really narrow strips. One of them goes in 1 and 2, and the other in 3 and 4. Finally, let's take this guy. We're gonna put the small rectangles on the right. We'll cut at 10, 8, and 6. A dear friend makes life beautiful, pocket 3 and 4. And then you've got these 3 rectangles, pocket 5 and 6. Whew. That was the last cut required for all 8 pages. A big difference here about a special release is that there is more paper to trim, and it's because we don't include those pre-trimmed photo mats that we do in our monthly kits, and those are trimmed to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So instead I get 4 bonus 12 by 12s and I do what I wish with them, but it creates these fun little cutting maps. But either way, we're all done. I'm gonna support my accordion pocket file while I lock my trimmer blade, remove the trimmer, lay this on its back so it doesn't fall on the floor, and set this aside. When we sorted the paper, I did so in a very strategic manner. So you now have a stack of paper that remains. And I like to keep this all in one stack here. Don't have 3 stacks. We're only gonna have 2 stacks total. So the entire stack that you have left, put it in front of you so that the right edge of the paper is at the center of your workspace. Then just pick up the top sheet of light purple and slide it to the right. What that gives us is the base for 2 layouts. And they're actually layouts 7 and 8 because I like to work backwards at this point, empty the pockets, distribute the pieces from 7 and 8 all the way up to layouts 1 and 2. And that way, when we finish this place marking session, you can start again with layouts 1 and 2, everything will be in its place, and then you can just stick everything down, add your photos, your pages will be done. It's as simple and wonderful as that. Okay, and by the way, I just want to point out that from 14 sheets of paper, 15, 14, 16, 17, 18 sheets of paper, including the Cutaparts, these are our scraps. So not bad for a session, right? 8 pages, this is all you got left. I'm gonna empty pockets 7 and 8 and make sure you get everything out of there. If possible, if you can hold everything in your hand, sometimes it's easier to deal the pieces out from your hand during the deal. So I'm gonna take one of these prints that has the pretty little torn edge. I'm gonna put it near the top, but so I can still see the purple. The other one will go near the bottom, the torn edge facing the bottom, but not touching it, okay? Just give it a little air. And then you have these cute little purple, dark purple strips. I call those paper ribbons. A quick tip here for you. After this piece is attached, I'll run the nozzle of my bookbinding glue along the edge of the paper, and the paper does a really nice job of like guiding the nozzle, and then I'll put the strip on top of the glue, and that's what keeps it in place. Next, I'm gonna take 2 of the 4x6 yellow mats and place them horizontally, kind of framed up in this lower right corner of the left page, and then add a vertical dark purple nested with this Friends Are Treasures border strip. Then you should have a larger purple, feels like 2 sheets of paper, but it's just 1, purple photo mat with the frame and journaling prompts. So you can put a picture there and you can add your journaling here. I also added the sweet little embroidered flower here. I'm going to take the smallest little sentiment here, this Friends sentiment. It's kind of like setting a space for us. Okay, then I'll take this piece and put it right next to it. And above this, I'm going to add I'll put my straight edge facing in, so that decorative edge is facing the outside. And then I can double mat. Look at this. We got yellow, we got purple, and we have our sweet little sentiment here. And then our tag here. One more of these pretty little embroidered things up here, and I see the other one is on the left. So I used all three of them on this layout. I'm going to enter a classic tool of my favorite here, the slot punch, which removes a tag top shape here, so I can thread that with some ribbon. And then on these, I used the smallest radius on my 3-in-1 corner punch. So I'll just insert it in so it's nice and tight in there. And then I can get a nice round on those corners. And the same is true for the dark purple, which is a much heavier paper, and the yellow. And having that little tiny radius in there just adds so much. I know it's minor, but I think it really warms things up on this. And now I've got this kind of generally placed where I want things to be. So let's take a look at the finished pages in the set. We have layout number 8. The only big difference here is I've added this, and I used my ATG adhesive to get it nice and flat, and then I came in with some bookbinding glue and added the cute little rhinestone gem to the glued spot. Here I made a loop with the beautiful golden metallic ribbon and just made a small loop and wrapped it around to the back. And then on the facing page, very straightforward here, the embroidered flowers were added along with the rhinestones. So lovely. That is layouts 7 and 8. I'm going to pick up now the base of page 7. That would be just one sheet of light purple. I'm going to slide it to the right and then pick up one sheet of ivory, slide that to the right. Now don't think I mentioned that I was looking at the instructions for the previous 2 pages are on the bottom of page 4. And just above that, you'll see the image for layouts 5 and 6. And I always kind of reference that as sort of like if you're putting a puzzle together and you have the box in front of you, that's the equivalent of the box. Okay, now all of these pieces from layout 5 and 6 from the pocket, a lot of stuff in there as I kind of noticed, but let's see if we've got it right. I'm going to take this lovely strip here and place it along the top edge, right on the edge. And the other one will be vertically on the left. I'm going to find my one larger photo mat that's going to go here and nest it with the photo mat that has all the torn edges. So pretty. Below, I'm going to add the purple strip on this side, and then I'll add the green and nest it with the Cutaparts that says in the ordinary moments. Below that, there's going to be home for 3 gold squares. And you're also going to find these fussy cut file tabs. Once you fussy cut them, or you wouldn't even have to, you can just put them in there. It's totally your call. The joy, we've got love, and we've got bloom somewhere, but I'll find that in a moment. Oh, here it is. Here's my bloom. Bloom right over here. I just tucked them under. It'll be so cute. Within the space right here, I'm going to find the smaller gold rectangle, and that just really helps establish our spacing. And then beneath it will come the gold strip, followed by the rest of the page title here. Find the extraordinary joy in the ordinary moments. A large dark purple mat nested and slightly angled, and then the other dark purple mat nested. And then you're going to find 2 rectangles, ivory and green or gold. That'll slip right there. These are squared corners. You can slide that right there. Finally, in your goodie pile, locate the 3 purple tags. 1, 2, 3. And you'll have the artworks. You can round the corners of these on the number radius 4 setting. I added some ribbon above this as well as the gem on top of the hole in the tag. So let's take a look at those finished pages and I'll review any finishing touches with you. This one, very straightforward, nothing special to report. There's my fussy cut tabs. The torn edges is just a nice touch on layout number 6. Now on layout 5, I looped some ribbon around here, and before I attached these, I added foam adhesive circles to the back of these tags so they would pop up a little bit. Totally optional. Sometimes I just like to level it up a little bit, but if you're in a hurry, you can skip ribbon, you can skip things. You don't have to do embellishing. If you are like on the eve of your daughter's graduation and you need your pictures to show, skip all that, just get it done, okay? Done is better than perfect is what I always say. This ivory is going to be picked up and transfer on top of layout 6 and then slide this next piece on over. We're gonna go reversing in our instructions to the bottom of page 3. I believe I had this piece positioned like this. Just trying to do it exactly as shown. Now we're gonna find a series of 3 ivory rectangles. And because of the way they're trimmed to 3 3/4 inches high, we can do like a film strip style along this. And then you'll have a border strip that you can nest onto the green. Then we'll add a green photo mat up here, followed by this purple. And then running across there, I have this ribbon like so. Okay, the ribbon's going across. And that's what's there. If that is causing confusion, it is not paper, it is ribbon. And then I'm going to do a vertical piece here and another vertical mat here. There we've got our green nested with a rectangle of dark purple. This piece goes on top here. And then we can nest this dark purple onto the square. And then you're gonna take all of these lovely violets, trim them in detail, I mean, just around that little silhouette, and add them, scatter them throughout the page for a really beautiful look. I'm noticing some missing purple mats, and I think that's because I had a little bit of an error when I was originally putting these pages together, and those kind of snuck in. So my apologies. You will not have the purple mat here on top of this or behind this. However, once your photos are on the page, nobody will miss it. So again, my apologies for the missing purple. Not sure how I'm gonna fix it at this point because I'm pretty far into the process. So I'm gonna strike this up to the fact that I'm a human being that makes mistakes, okay? Now on the right here, we've got our little added cut apart flower with the gem in the middle. Here we have my little ribbon trick where I took 2 lengths of this ribbon and made loops out of them. And then, like, I wouldn't do it like this, I would cut the ribbon, but then this is how it works. You just like loop the ends together and tug to make that cute little double ribbon trick, okay? Then you can see the wide ribbon layered on top here. On top of this is the foam adhesive that raises this up a little bit. Then here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the little cut apart flowers with the rhinestone gems added to the middle. Again, bring the glue to the paper, bring the gem to the glue. That would be the order you'd want to do that in. I'm going to slide this yellow paper on over to the right, grab the last sheet of yellow off the top here, and we've arrived at layout 1 and 2. This up out of there. Let's take 2 of the tallest light purple mats and place them vertically right in this spot. Then we're going to take this wider border strip and top it with a skinny dark purple above and below. Then vertically add this piece here. There's another larger mat. I'm going to grab that and put it here along with 2 purple rectangles. This is also going to just help us with our spacing. So do you see how this creates a little grouping? You've got the big guy and then these 2 kind of make a nice little group. And I'm going to take the purple strip, the green strip, and nest that with this other patterned strip here. And then I'm going to grab a purple square, which gets nested with shine. And then below that, we'll have our 2 rectangular florals, and these can have rounded corners if you're in the mood. Okay. And then over here, I'm going to take this larger gold and nest it with the remaining light purple. Now we've got a series of tags. I've got one journaling tag that will be nested with dark purple, We'll add that over here on the right, and it does overlap the photo a little bit. Then we can double mat. So you've got your green and your purple and your tag. That's all gonna go here. And the final crowning touch will be the use of these stunning bronze circular frames attached with ribbon onto the tag and on this cut apart. So to show you how that finishes out, I used the remaining pile of all of my little gems over here on this strip, which I think is so pretty. Here, after nesting, and it's important that you cut the little hole after you nest these pieces together, then add a loop of the gold ribbon to the tag. Over here on this side, I looped it, and I didn't even glue this to the tag, I just attached it with the ribbons on the back, plus I made another loop of ribbon here at the top. Maybe I'm a little ribbon crazy. You can call me ribbon crazy, that's fine. And once again here, using the ribbon, I attached the piece below and above vertically. So I have a horizontal attachment here, a vertical attachment here. Everything else is just as shown. Those are my pages for the Violet collection. I think it's such a beautiful set. So proud of this kit. Again, my apologies for the missing purple. I know exactly what happened. I decided to regroup the way I handled one of my purple pieces and obviously dispensed too many mats to my page that weren't accounted for. So my apologies for that. I hope you're able to accommodate without an issue. It will work just fine once your photos are in place. And that, my friend, is what scrapbooking is all about. Thanks for joining me at Club Scrap for this fun workshop. And until we meet again, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. And if what I shared with you is of value, make sure you take a moment and hit that like button. We really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.